In front of the huge crater left by the massive Israeli airstrikes that killed him, defiance and devotion amongst supporters of Hezbollah's assassinated leader, Hassan Nasrallah. A fragile ceasefire allowing them back to Beirut's war-ravaged southern suburbs for the first time in 2 months. For many in the crowd, the grief is still raw.
ما في شيء شعور فيني خبرك عن السيد. هو مثل بيلا إلنا بنلمى وعينا عليه وما بنصدق إنه هو مات استشهد.
In the West, Hassan Nasrallah is viewed as a terrorist. Here, he's a hero for standing alongside Hamas in Gaza and confronting Israel.
Israelis from 19 years old, they are planning to kill us and to kill Lebanon and to occupy it. Until now, because of Hezbollah, they didn't.
Hezbollah has sustained unprecedented blows in the past few months. This now a chance for its supporters to express their grief at the killing of its leader. A show of strength clearly as well, and perhaps a moment to reflect on where Hezbollah goes next. Founded in the 1980s with Iranian support to resist Israel's occupation of southern Lebanon, Hezbollah is now much more than just an armed group. It's a political and social movement deeply enmeshed in the country's Shia Muslim community. Can it retain their support? We're driving out of Beirut towards southern Lebanon, alongside displaced families making their way back home. Here in Hezbollah's heartlands in Tyre district, Israeli airstrikes have caused mass destruction. More than 1 million people forced to flee, more than 4,000 killed, a quarter of them women and children. Amongst the survivors, 2-year-old Ivana, badly burnt and just out of hospital. The family home has been severely damaged by the Israeli strike that injured her and her sister as they were playing in the street.
صعب كتير. أنا إذا هلا وبعدني هيك كنت بطلع فيها بحزق وبختنق. أنا هلا مش فتت على البيت بس كتير متضايقة مخنوقة. أيوة.
The family's anger is directed at Israel, of course, but also at Hezbollah. Amongst the debris from the strike, a truck loaded with a Hezbollah rocket, presumably Israel's target.
كلنا مع مقاومة، كلنا مع إنه ندافع عن بلد، بس مش بهالطريقة. هذا شيء بعد ما عرفت بهذه الحادثة، أنا كنتش عارف قبل وعرفت فيها بهذه الحادثة إنه في شيء حد بيتي وبقلب بيتي وقريب كثير من بيتي. هذا لا ولا منطق ولا عقل بيقبله، بس هلا مرفوض، يعني شيء مرفوض.
Public criticism of Hezbollah is rare in southern Lebanon. Many remain firm followers of the group and its Iranian sponsor. Others in the country accuse them both of dragging Lebanon into a futile war. Hussein Jeshi is one of Hezbollah's members of parliament. Lots of ordinary Lebanese civilians have died in this war. They're angry at Israel, of course, but some of them also blame Hezbollah for starting the war. Do you feel you owe them an apology?
نحن عم نقوم بواجبنا الدفاعي عن شعبنا، عم نضحي من أجلهم، وبنسعى إنه يكون شعبنا متفهم. نحن مش مغلطين لنعتذر.
But Hezbollah does offer compensation. After the last war with Israel, Hezbollah's own construction company, with funding from Iran, rebuilt apartment blocks and paid rent for displaced families, even buying them new furniture. This time, the destruction is far worse. estimated to cost billions of dollars. But Hezbollah is again promising to do the same. This situation seems completely unsustainable, where you start a war that leads to death and destruction here. You then pay for people's homes to be rebuilt, and then in 10 years' time or so, start another war again.
يعني هذا قدرنا لأنه نحن نعيش بجوار عدو مجرم.
For now, Hezbollah's diggers are helping in the search for missing bodies. 3 people were killed in an Israeli strike at this site. Residents say there was no military target. The recovery effort is led by Hezbollah's own civil defense force, the Islamic Health Organization. Ishaq is the group's head here in Tyre district.
إمكانيات الدفاع المدني نحن أصلاً تواجدنا لأنه في ضعف عند الدولة بشكل عام. إمكانياتنا موجودة، إخواننا موجودين قادرين نشتغل. ونحن أي شيء بيخدم نحن ما حنقصر فيه.
Hezbollah is often said to run a state within a state. Its rescue service is bigger and better equipped than the government's. It's also been repeatedly targeted by Israel during the war. This was an Israeli strike next to one of their ambulances in Tyre. Israel accuses Hezbollah of transporting fighters and weapons in the vehicles, which it denies. Human rights groups say the attacks are possible war crimes.
يمنعنا نطفي حريق، يمنعنا نطفي بيت، يمنعنا نساعد واحد جريح ننقله على مستشفى. بكل الضياع صار في عنا ضربات، بكل الضياع صار في عنا شهداء، بكل الضياع كانت سياراتنا عم تنقصف.
The ferocity of Israel's assault on southern Lebanon may have succeeded in rolling back some of Hezbollah's influence. Under the ceasefire, the country's army, far weaker than Hezbollah, is meant to replace its forces here. Will the Lebanese state be able to assert its authority over the group? Diana Mukallad is a leading journalist whose family come from southern Lebanon.
I want a strong state in Lebanon where we don't see Hezbollah or any other militia or group having a special status in the country. Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. It's not possible to have peace with such a mentality and approach. But that is one question. We have to look at the interest of Lebanon and us Lebanese. The destruction that we are living in now, the amount of people that we have lost, this cannot be repeated.
Are there others from within the Shia community who share that view, or is it still very much a minority position?
The resentment is growing. It hasn't materialized into a public one line, but you would hear lots of voices that are debating this. Enough is enough.
At a funeral for slain Hezbollah fighters, though, they see themselves as part of Islamic history, invoking the death on the battlefield of the Prophet Muhammad's grandson, Hussein. Martyrdom has always been central to Shia identity. For the relatives of the dead we talk to, there are no regrets.
وعندي بعد شاب تقدمه فدى هالوطن فدى الأرض.
Did your son have a family? Was he married? Did he have children?
عنده عائلة. هذه زوجته وهي بنته. This is his wife, this is his daughter. Wow. بعد عنده الشاب عمره 15 سنة ابنه. بنكفي المصير إلهم. بدنا نكفي المصير إن شاء الله.
As her son's coffin is taken towards the cemetery, shots ring out, though the gunmen remain carefully concealed. Hezbollah claims victory against Israel by having avoided total defeat. Now it's fighting to rebuild some of what it's lost.